Imagine a war that lasts over a century, reshaping nations, destroying empires, and altering the way we see the world today. The 100 Years' War wasn't just a conflict, it was a catalyst that forever changed the landscape of Europe. From the battlefields to the very idea of what it means to be a nation, this war redefined history in ways you might not expect. The 100 Years' War wasn't just a prolonged battle between England and France. It was the spark that ignited a massive transformation in European politics, society, and warfare. Lasting from 1337 to 1453, the war marked the end of the medieval world and the beginning of the modern era. Let's break down how this epic struggle changed Europe, and why its consequences are still felt today. The roots of the 100 Years' War stretch back to long-standing tensions between England and France. The core issue was control over the French throne. In 1337, after the French king, Charles IV, died without a male heir, Edward III of England, who was the grandson of Philip IV of France, laid claim to the throne. But the French had their own ideas about who should rule. They turned to Philip VI, leading to the official start of the war. This battle for the French crown wasn't just about pride, it was about the future of two powerful nations. Over the next century, multiple dynasties, families, and countries would be dragged into the conflict, each with their own stake in the outcome. The war wasn't just a clash of arms, it was a clash of royal bloodlines. One of the most profound impacts of the 100 Years' War was the transformation of European warfare. Early battles saw the traditional knights in shining armor dominate the battlefield, but the English brought something new: the longbow. These archers could fire arrows with such force and accuracy that they pierced through heavy armor, changing military tactics forever. The Battle of Crécy in 1346 demonstrated this shift, where English longbowmen decimated the French knights, who were still relying on outdated methods of warfare. This was just the beginning. In subsequent battles, like the famous Battle of Agincourt in 1415, the longbow proved decisive, leaving a lasting mark on military strategies for centuries to come. The war also saw the introduction of gunpowder weapons, cannons and early artillery, that started to break down fortresses and revolutionize siege tactics. The medieval method of fighting was dying, and a new form of warfare was emerging. In the 1420s, the war took a dramatic turn. The French were on the brink of collapse, with much of their land controlled by the English. But then, a 17-year-old peasant girl from Lorraine named Joan of Arc emerged, claiming divine visions and leading the French forces to a stunning victory at the Siege of Orléans in 1429. Joan's rallying cry reinvigorated the French army and inspired a new sense of national unity. Her leadership not only turned the tide of the war but also marked the rise of French nationalism, something that would continue to grow in the centuries that followed. Although Joan was captured and executed by the English in 1431, her influence had already sparked the French resurgence. By the time the war ended in 1453, France had reclaimed most of its territory, and the English were forced to retreat. While the military and political outcomes were significant, the social and economic effects of the 100 Years' War were just as transformative. The war caused widespread destruction across France, with entire villages, towns, and farmland destroyed. The economic toll was immense, and both countries faced crippling debts. In England, the war led to heavy taxation, which caused widespread unrest among the peasantry. In fact, some historians argue that the unrest following the war helped spark the English peasants' revolt in 1381. Moreover, the war created a major shift in the social structure. With the reliance on professional armies over feudal levies, the old feudal system began to crumble. The growing importance of centralized monarchies meant that kings had more power, and local lords lost their grip on military and political control. The result? The formation of more modern, centralized states. Before the 100 Years' War, loyalty was often to local lords or kings, and national identity was a fluid concept. But the prolonged conflict between England and France started to change that. For the French, the war fostered a sense of unity and nationalism as the people rallied behind their king. It was no longer just about defending territories, it was about defending the idea of France itself. Similarly, the English began to see themselves as a unified nation, though the war's outcome left them politically fragmented. The war sparked debates over the nature of monarchy and governance, setting the stage for future English political changes, including the Wars of the Roses. The Hundred Years' War may have ended in 1453, but its legacy endured. The concept of national identity, of belonging to a unified state, was born. Europe began to see the rise of powerful monarchies with centralized control, a shift that would lead to the modern nation-states we know today. The war also marked the decline of medieval chivalry, as new military technologies and strategies took precedence over the old codes of knights and honor. And perhaps most importantly, it set the stage for the Renaissance, as the political and social upheavals of the war pushed Europe toward a new era of cultural and intellectual growth. The Hundred Years' War was more than just a battle for land or power. It was a conflict that reshaped Europe in ways that are still relevant today. From the rise of national identities and centralized monarchies to the evolution of warfare, this war set the stage for the modern world. It might have been a conflict of kings and armies, but its true impact was felt by every citizen and future generations. What do you think would have happened if the Hundred Years' War had never occurred? Would Europe have evolved differently? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most transformative moments.